Hello, friends. Hmm. Settle in for the ride. My name's aLex. I'm here Sunday mornings with Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube portal. And it's a time for us to veer toward the light touch. So, a time for stillness, silence, for recharging, for moving more toward the yin. Mostly because we're just out of balance. There's nothing wrong with the yang, the forceful touch, the wood chopping movement, the loud, the vibrant, the active. But in our culture, in our lives, a lot of times that's what's on overdrive. So these practices help us to come into balance. So, after we get a little bit grounded, and I'll talk a little about my theme, usually themes, interwoven themes, we'll do a tiny, tiny bit of movement today with the eyes, I believe. Um, and and then we'll be silent together for a little while. Hmm. So I'm wearing these bigger earrings than I usually wear. They're new. They're a gift from my partner, my husband of really, we've been together more, but since our wedding, it was our 25th wedding anniversary this year. And we're not very good about celebrating things, but it is silver anniversary, and he got me these gorgeous silver earrings, so you'll be seeing them a lot. Um, light touch, a light touch. So make sure you have what you need to be comfortable for around the next 25 minutes. And if you're here with me in person, it's helpful if you can type something in the chat space. I know that the technology sometimes is complicated to be watching and finding the chat space at the same time. So no worries. I love that often Mary Beth is here, Virginia, Jackie, Lisa, Nancy, maybe several Nancys, Anne Catherine, Kevin, Lincoln, Linda, a number of you, Sandra, and I just thrive on knowing you're there with me. You're here with me. So, getting what you need, making for me one of the key things is just carving out the space, the time, making that making that sacred. And perhaps, depending on the temperature, you need a shawl, a blanket. And today, as you see, I'm in a different than usual place. I'm usually sitting right in front of myself there. But I just decided I wanted to sit sort of in an armchair, but this is an older couch, very comfy. So have what you need to be comfortable to the best of your ability. And we practice with this because it's easier than to, when we make this shift to the lighter touch, we it's not always easy to make that shift, to quickly jump from being involved, being in a hurry, being in one kind of more young state of mind to bringing in the pause, the attention to breath, the being here now. So really coming to yin, it's not essential, but we need to get familiar with it. Our the worn pathways in our body are um, go toward what we're used to. I don't know if you have this happen to you. When I'm leaving out my house, there's so many routines, more than I have a very unroutine life in a way, but non-routine, but there are many, many things that are routine I'm coming to notice. The times that I walk the dog, feed the pets, the times I get up and go to sleep. Um, and when I drive from our street, and I usually drive and from our street, make a right turn on the next block. But so often when we're in the car together, and Matt will say, "Where are we going?" Because like he'll know I'll be on autopilot. So to help us to be able to shift into other ways of thinking or being open, we may need to slow down, to take that forge a new pathway, to at least go to a place that might not be the default. I A video that came up for me in my feed. We get it, the technology helps us find what we need these days, and uh, a video by Carolyn Mice. I hadn't watched her in quite a long time, but she had one. I haven't finished it yet, but it's titled "The Unthinkable," and she starts out with saying that it took her a while. She has some routine schedule that she presents these videos, but she was a little over over that date because of what's happening during the recording of this is the conflict, the war in Israel and Gaza. Um, it's unthinkable. So much that's happening is unthinkable. But she takes an amazing twist on this word, unthinkable, and I won't replicate what she's saying, what she's doing there. You can look it up. Um, but it's she starts to say, like, yes, it's unthinkable, and so much of what we could avail ourselves of is what we don't know yet, what's unthought of, unthinkable. And that's a huge part of what we're doing here as well. So when we get quiet, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure, if you've been doing these practices, you have come across that feeling. I'll illustrate it with one of my first yoga teaching gigs. I was teaching in an art space on where we put our mats down on floor that probably had some Conti crayon and pastels and such on it. Um, and one of the students, we were partway partway through shavasana at the end relaxation, and it wasn't maybe 2/3 of the way through, and this student just sits right up and says, "I got it." Like, eureka. She had been working on an issue, and in that quiet, in the going inward of the practice, and then the still and silence at the end, some issue that she had been ruminating on became clear, the possibility or the answer for her. And I think we've all had these kind of experiences. So when we're in the unthinkable of, like, we have no idea, it's just horrific, whether it's a personal thing, a world event, a family event, we can turn to the unthinkable more fully, more fully. So, this light touch. Let's Oh, I was gonna ground us before that, but maybe as I was talking, you've been grounding yourself. And I'm assuming, since I'm not seeing any comment about it, that I'm audible, that you can hear me. And just wherever you find yourself now, perhaps you're seated, perhaps you're lying down, perhaps you're lying down and you've got your legs up, knees bent and legs up on some support. And let's fully arrive. And I wanted to, I'll get to my next point in a second. One of the next themes that's a constant theme, but an important one, maybe the most important one. So, fully arriving, sensing what the body notices, how the body is here, how it's supported right at this piece of real estate, how we're in the flow of gravity. As long as we're in this earth's cozy, the field, the ring of atmosphere around the earth. I believe when you break out of that, then there's no gravity and you float. But within that, we feel gravity. And the more we can tune in to this feel of this very invisible but very obvious gravitational pull. I drop my phone, it goes down. Very obvious, one direction, any point in the space around us dropping down. And so we can feel the various points in our body. You can feel from your shoulder down all the way to the center of the earth, where we're all connected at that same, as if the belly button of the universe, of the earth's belly button at the very center, each tethered with our gravitational umbilical cords. And interesting, in this light touch, gravity is a pretty forceful field, yet in some ways it feels so light. And by our cooperation with it, or our sensitivity to it, we can see that if we can cooperate and be stronger with it, be stronger and freer at the same time. So you might feel the spaces in your body that are holding tension, maybe in the mouth, in the jaw, perhaps in the forehead and scalp, the shoulders. And the idea is you could let those go to maintain whatever alertness and buoyancy you need, but at the same time, just let it go. And so I feel, oh, I didn't need that prop. I didn't need that prop. So it's as if we've burdened ourselves with all these mm, supports, but they're actually not so needed when we can feel to this subtle yet not subtle field of gravity. Relaxing in the gut, perhaps relaxing however you're touching your hands, whatever they're touching to, that touch can be lighter, can be more surrendered, but not uh, checked out. So the many way we might position our hands often has a light touch of the fingertips to each other in some way, um, and by sometimes bringing a little attention to that, we can notice if we're pushing, if we're efforting, or if we're too slack, and find that not too tight, not too loose place. And the base, for me, the pelvis, the legs, the feet, the belly, deep belly. And if you're on your back or on your side, it's whatever's closest to the ground. And we might even feel this interchange of, I can sense a warmth from my body receiving the warmth of the trapping, or some the warmth of the couch below me, the feel of the fabrics, and the feel that I'm sensing almost unconsciously through my skin, layers of skin, through layers of whether it's fat tissue, muscle tissue, nerve tissue, blood tissue, cell tissue, intercellular fluid tissue, and the wholeness. Now, the wholeness of this, time and time again, we can draw back to the wholeness and sort of keep that going in the background. It is and always there. And from time to time, we may just become conscious of fingertips or shoulders or upper palate. And now let's shift to the eyes for this mini movement. And you might just open your eyes a tiny little bit, just maybe enough to let light through. For me, I do see some forms and colors. And you may notice differences in the right and left eye. You might notice that you're breathing. Hello, breath. I forgot about you. Welcome. And so now, with your eyes, even with them just barely open, reach with your eyes as if to look farther. So, actually, I need to look up because I don't have a farness to look through the carpet. I'm going to reach and look out through the window in front of me as if to pull my eyes way out there and even beyond the building I see there. Notice the feel of that. I can sense the pull. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, and don't worry about that part. Just reach and then maybe come a little more to the foreground. I'm coming about halfway back to some foliage I see. But even here, you can have the eyes a bit closed or blinking. And then I'm going to look over to my left, which on the screen may look like the right. I'm going to just let my eyes mostly go that way. And far, 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 there's a shade drawn. So I'm just going to imagine I'm looking way beyond it. And then a little closer in, but still not right next to me. And then over to the other side, just pulling mostly the eyes. Your head might turn a little. And far, here I have the stone wall that I'm gonna let my eyes go through the wall. For some reason, I couldn't do that with the floor, but going through the wall, because I know what's beyond the floor too, but the garage. Okay, pulling farther and then coming closer in, even close in. And letting the eyes come back to center and just gently looking down the line of your nose, softly, gently, maybe even imagining to look to the tip of the nose. And some of these, I should have said, if they're uncomfortable, change it so something is more comfortable, change it. And then just find where you'd like your eyes to be. And these eye movements, the reason I'm using them with the theme of light touch or touch in itself is one of the teachers I like to listen to, never met him in person, Bruce Joel Rubin, also available on YouTube, weekly usually. Uh, he he talks about that the way we can touch one another is through our eyes, through how we look at each other. So eyes, hands arrive again right here. Let's begin our silence for about, let's say, 7 minutes today. So lightly find your stillness and find, again, re-find the gravitational field within you, around you. Get it just right. Just so it makes it easy as possible to hold yourself still without holding yourself still. Leaning back into that wholeness of ourself. But whenever it floats through or you get pulled by it or you jump to it somehow, there might be a visit with the particular, the temperature of your body, the positioning of fingertips, eyes, shoulders. And so that most important theme that's always here, but we're not always coupled, our attention awareness is not always coupled with it, is that awareness, capital A, that is our truest self, is our source, is is everything, is in everything, everything comes from it, returns to it, is it. It rejects nothing. Even and most especially when you find yourself not meditating, you're off, you've teleported somewhere. And how wonderful is that? Yes, it's wonderful. The moment that you've noticed it is evidence that you never left. Perhaps relax more as we share a handful more breaths together. Thank you so much for joining me. Bring our hands together in front of our hearts. And I wish for you as you go through your day and this coming week, if you perhaps you wish this for yourself or not, perhaps to wish for you what you wish for yourself. But to perhaps you can, as we are met with the unthinkable in whatever sphere, personal or communal, that while that is to have the capacity to to hold that, to behold it, but also look to the bigger, what's unthought of yet, and just open to that with our hearts and minds, and our bodies. Thank you so much for joining me. It feels like we've got a few people out there in the space. So happy that you're here. Oh, Virginia, you found how to do that. Hi, Jackie and Mary Beth. Great to see you. And somebody else is out there too. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy your day, your week. Check out our sunandmoonstudio.com site so that you can continue to join us for various fun stuff and supportive community things. And um, if you have any feedback for me, let me know how things are going. aLex at sunandmoonstudio.com will find me. Ciao, ciao. And a glimpse. You got to get a glimpse of the quiet animal. The cats, I don't know where they are, but there's Rock. Peace.